स्वाध्याय टीवी डॉक्टर बाबा साहेब आंबेडकर ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी।
Namaste dear students, I Dr. Himanshu Patel welcome you from the Chaitanya studio of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Open University. We are in lecture series on Java programming. In last lecture we have discussed about method overloading. In today's session we are going to discuss a very important topic which is inheritance. So, let us start inheritance. Now, first we define inheritance. So, inheritance is a process by which object of one class acquires properties of another class. So, basically inheritance provides reusability. Whatever is available already can be reused with the help of inheritance. So, we can say inheritance provides reusability and eliminates redundant code or duplicate code. You need not to write down code once again which is already defined earlier in a class. Now, inheritance supports the concept of generalization and specialization. Now, what is generalization? When you define inheritance, you define hierarchy. For example, first comes top level classes, then we refine these classes into further specialized classes called subclasses. So, these hierarchy continues until a level which is optimum is reached. So, as you for example, you can see on the screen there is a class called animal which is divided into two parts, mammals and reptiles. In mammal we can have dog, cat, etc. So, we can say animal is a general class which has a common property of all animals, and mammal class is a specialized class of animal class which has a properties which is a specific to mammal class. So, mammal is called more specific than animal, and dog is the more precise version of mammal class. So, these as you go from top to bottom, you have more specialized classes which is known as a specialization, and as you grow from the bottom to top in a class hierarchy, we can have more general classes. So, this is known as a generalization. So, inheritance provides specialization and generalization. Then the top level classes from which we create new classes are called superclass, parent class or base class. Then the class which defines or derived from the superclass is known as a subclass or derived class or child class. In Java we use word super for referring superclasses and sub for referring to a subclasses. For example, employee is a superclass and manager is a subclass of employee class. Now, due to this relationship, there is a relationship between a class. So, inheritance also provides is a relationship. For example, we can say employee is a manager is a employee. Likewise, dog is a mammal, mammal is a animal. So, this type of relationship is a called is a relationship where subclass has all the properties of superclass. So, we can say manager is employee because manager has all the properties of employee class. So, this is a very fundamental idea of inheritance, to define a class hierarchy and to eliminate redundant code and to provide reusability. So, that is why we are using inheritance. Now, in case of programming language, we have to follow a syntax. So, the syntax for inheritance is, we have to first write down class which is a superclass. We assume that we have already defined superclass here, but the inheritance is a syntax is a class, we have to write down subclass name, then we have to use extends keyword, and then we specify superclass name. In earlier example, we can write down class manager extends employee, and inside these subclass we can have any property which is not there in superclass. So, you can only specify one superclass for any subclass that you create. This you have to remember. We cannot have multiple superclasses. Java does not support the inheritance of multiple superclasses into a single class. For that, we have a special mechanism called interface that we discussed later on. So, we can say Java does not support pure multiple inheritance. Now, a subclass can be a superclass for another subclass. That means, in hierarchy, dog is a mammal. So, mammal is a superclass for dog, but for mammal we have superclass called animal. So, any subclass may be the superclass of another class. So, this is how we can define inheritance. Now, what type of inheritance supported by Java? So, first on screen you can see a single inheritance. Single inheritance we can define like a inheritance in which only one superclass is there and only one subclass is there. So, this is known as a single inheritance in which only one subclass inherits a superclass. Then we can have multi-level inheritance. This is like grandfather, father and child relationship. So, C is a subclass of B and B is a subclass of A, and A is a superclass of B and B is a superclass of C. So, this kind of inheritance is known as a multi-level inheritance, and of course, we can have combination of these two, which is known as a hierarchical inheritance, in which it is a something like organization chart. So, on top we have superclass called A, and A is derived two subclasses called B and C, which further classified into B1 and B2 and C1 and C2 respectively. So, these kind of hierarchical inheritance. Now, once you define inheritance, you can have access of superclass member into subclass. Now, what you have to remember is that a class member that has been declared as private will remain private to its class. That means, you can access member of superclass inside subclass, but you never access superclass member which are declared as a private in a subclass. Then it is not accessible by any code outside its class. Its name, it suggests itself that it is a private, and a superclass variable can reference a subclass object. So, this is a relationship between inheritance classes. Now, we take one practical example so that you can understand better. Here the class employee is a superclass. So, it may have its own methods and fields, and we define one class called manager which extends employee. That means, for example, every employee has a name, department, designation and grade. So, these common properties can be defined inside employee, and manager may get extra property which is not there in employee. So, subclass have more functionality than their superclasses. So, manager may add other attributes and methods for which is a specific for manager only. So, you have to add method and field which is not there in employee because it is already there. And remember, all employee private data cannot be accessed by manager also. So, this you have to remember. So, this is an example how we specify inheritance. Now, we earlier discussed constructor. Constructors are used to initialize data of a class. Now, what will happen when you define a constructor in inheritance hierarchy? So, in class hierarchy, constructors are called in order of derivation or inheritance from superclass to subclass. For example, I have defined a class A as a superclass and B as a subclass. Now, when I create object of B, obviously it calls its own constructor which is defined inside class B, but before that it also called constructor of class A, because as I mentioned earlier, constructor are called in order of inheritance. For example, there is a class A, B and C. We take example in multi-level inheritance. So, when I create object of C, it will automatically call constructor of A, then B and then C. So, this is how constructor are called when you define inheritance. Now, generally the default constructor is called, but you can call specific constructor using keyword super that we discussed next. Super keyword is used for two purposes. It is not only used to call constructor of a base class or super class, but it is also used to access member of super class, which may be method or it may be instance variable. Inside subclass, you can access member of super class using super keyword. You can also access without super keyword. So, why there is need for super? That you might have question in your mind, that why I need to use super. So, why we need to use super? When you define same member inside superclass and subclass. So, at that time to differentiate between these two, we can use super. So, a subclass can call a constructor method defined by its superclass by using the super. The syntax is shown on screen, super, and then you have to specify which constructor you want to call by specifying parameter list. So, parameter list specifies any parameter needed by the constructor in the superclass. In superclass, there may be more than one constructor available. So, you want to call which constructor that defines by these parameters. From any of the constructor, you can call particular constructor by specifying parameter. In subclass constructor, the very first statement must be super, otherwise it will show compiler error. So, that you have to remember while you are using a super class. Now, another use is to access member of a super class, which may be method or instant variable. Now, suppose that inside super class we have instance variable A, and inside subclass we have also instance variable with name A. So, at that time by default it use subclass object use its own instance variable. So, you cannot use super class instance variable. So, in that case A just mention its own A in subclass, and super dot A refers to A which is available in super class. So, the usage of super class to access member is super dot member, which may be method or instance variable. Now, it is most applicable in situation in which member names of subclass hides members by the same name in the superclass. I can use method define inside superclass inside subclass. Now, what will happen if both the method names are same? So, this is known as a method overriding. In a class hierarchy, when method in subclass has the same signature which is defined in superclass, then the method in subclass is said to be override the method in the superclass. Now, when an overridden method is called, from within a subclass, it will always refer to the version of that method defined by the subclass. Now, suppose I have a method name get inside superclass and method name get with same signature inside subclass. So, when I create object of a subclass, it always refers to its own method rather than its superclass method. So, at that time to call superclass method, you can also use super. Now, you might wonder why I need to use method overriding at all, because I can always access members of superclass in a subclass. So, the method overriding is a useful feature that you require to specify methods that will be common to all of its derivatives, while allowing subclass to define the specific implementation of some or all of those methods. Now, we take one example to clearly understand this. For example, on screen you can see a shape class hierarchy. Shape is a class and it has a subclass called line, rectangle, circle and polygon. So, what we can do is we can define draw method inside shape class, that is again defined inside line, rectangle, circle and polygon. Why? Because method for line drawing is different than method for drawing rectangle. Similarly, circle has its own method for drawing circle and polygon follows different method for drawing polygon objects. So, inside shape we can have draw method, which is a defined inside subclass and it is a implementation specific. That means, when you define line, the method is different than rectangle and rectangle method is different than circle and polygon. What is the advantage is that we can call these all draw methods by one object of superclass called shape. Using shape object, we can call draw method of line, draw method of rectangle, draw method of circle and draw method of polygon also. Now, this is known as a dynamic method dispatch in Java. So, dynamic method dispatch is the mechanism by which a call to an overridden method is resolved at runtime rather than compile time. Dynamic method dispatch is important because this is how Java implements runtime polymorphism. Now, suppose I create line object and call draw method, then which draw method is called its own draw method, and when I create rectangle object, which draw method is called? When you call draw method, it obviously call its own drawing method. But what is the advantage here is, by creating shape object or superclass object, you can call any of the draw method which is defined inside subclass. So, this is a example of polymorphism, because one object is having characteristic that it can execute any of the method defined inside subclass. So, this is example of runtime polymorphism. Why runtime? Because if you pass reference of subclass to superclass, which is a line, then it will call line draw method. If I pass reference of rectangle to shape object, then it call rectangle draw method. So, this is how we can achieve runtime polymorphism. So, this is an important aspect in Java. Now, if superclass contains method that is overridden by a subclass, then when different types of objects are referred through a superclass reference variable, different version of methods are executed. So, that is how I explain that using shape object I can call method of line, rectangle, circle or polygon by passing its reference to shape class object. Now, in today's session, we have discussed basic of inheritance, types of inheritance, how constructor are called in inheritance, uses of super keyword, and how dynamic method dispatch works, which provides runtime polymorphism in Java. Now, we create one simple inheritance in NetBeans, so that you can understand basic syntax of inheritance. So, let us write down code for implementing inheritance inside NetBeans project. So, here is my project with name inheritance 1, and it is a blank project. Inside default package, I am creating one class, and my class name is simple inheritance, and then I press finish. So, here we have a public class with name simple inheritance. Now, I am writing a class A, and inside class A I define one instance variable with name A and a constructor which displays this is super class. Now, to display value of instance variable A, I define one method show A, and here I write down A is, and then value of instance variable A. Now, I define a constructor which initialize these A by x. So, this is how super class is defined. Now, I want to extend this super class inside class B. So, I write down class B extends A. So, now we can say B is a subclass of class A. Now, what does it mean? It means I can access these A inside B, these constructors and method as if they are members of class B. Now, here I declare one integer B, and I also write down two constructor inside B. So, this is a default constructor, and inside default constructor I just print this is sub, or this is a subclass. Now, here I define one constructor which initialize value of B to y, and here I define show B method which prints value of B. B is, and then value of B. So, now I have a super class A with one instance variable, two constructor and one method, and I have a subclass B of super class A which has also one instance variable, two constructor and one normal method. Now, inside these class I define main class as a main class. So, I define main method inside this. So, public static void main is defined inside this class. So, it becomes main class. Now, here I define object of A and object of B. Now, here I write down, I create instance of A object as a new A, and here I create instance of B object. Now, I simply run this program. Now, can you say what will be the output? In theory, we discussed that when particular object is created, its constructor is called. So, when I create these object A, it calls these constructor. So, what will be the output? This is a super. Now, when you create subclass object, the constructors are called in order of inheritance. So, B is derived from A. So, first it will call super class constructor, and by default super class default constructor is called. So, it will print this is super, and then its call its O1 default constructor, which prints this is sub. So, my output is, now to differentiate between these two output, I just draw a line, so that you can better understand first output and second output. And here I write down println. So, they are printed in separate line, and now I save this and run this file. So, here you can see when I create super class object, it just call its constructor, but when I create subclass object, first it calls super class object and then its O1 object. So, this is how constructor are called inside A. Now, how to call these show A and show B method? So, what can I do is, here I write down 10 and here I write down 20. So, now this constructor is called, and which initialize A to 10 and B is initialized to 20, and we want to display this value using show method. So, what I can write down is, using B object I can show A as well as B also, because B inherits A. So, it can call that method show and show B. Now, I save this and run this. So, here you can see A is 0 and B is 20. Now, you might wonder why A is 0, because we have initialized object A to 10, not object B to 10. So, now I save this file and run this program again. So, now A is 10 and B is 20. But what will happen if these A is private? So, here you can see that it shows error that A has a private access in A. So, this is how private members are restricted in inheritance. So, in today's session we have write down a simple program which demonstrate various aspects of inheritance, its syntax and how constructors are called when you write down inheritance. In next session we will write down more examples in as a program, so that you can better understand inheritance. I hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you and happy learning.
स्वाध्यायः परमं तपः।
स्वाध्याय टीवी